Sir Robert Watson Watt is one of Brechin's most famous sons, yet the scientist who made the groundbreaking discoveries which led to the invention of the radar is also one of Brechin's most overlooked heroes. Robert Watson Watt was born at 5 Union Street in Brechin on April 13, 1892, the son of a carpenter. One of 3 sons, there may have been expectations that Robert would follow in his father's footsteps and work in the family business. However, from an early age, Robert showed a great interest in science and appeared much more likely to follow in the footsteps of his distant relative James Watt, the inventor of the steam engine. After being educated at Damacre Primary School, Robert went to Brechin High, where one of his teachers, Miss Bessie Mitchell, made a lasting impression.
He did very well at school, and he had a teacher, a Miss Bessie Mitchell, and he was reported as saying that she did more for him than anyone else for him to get where he was able to go. He won a scholarship to Dundee. It was at that time part of St Andrews University, and he studied engineering and physics. He was under a Professor William Peddy. He did extremely well, and he actually became a lecturer before he passed his final exams. At that point, of course, the First World War came along, and he wanted to be involved in the war effort, and actually he was given a post to study meteorology and the radio effects of that.
Robert was convinced that radio waves could be used to detect thunderstorms, providing planes with vital protection from the havoc caused by lightning, which led to the realization that radio waves might also be able to detect aircraft. In the mid-30s, Robert's work attracted the attention of the British government, which is becoming increasingly aware of the threat posed by Nazi Germany.
It was the most fabulously exciting and fascinating kind of occupation. And we lived and breathed and almost slept and certainly talked constantly about the possibilities.
In the spring of 1935, he was awarded £10,000 and asked if he could detect an aircraft at 50 miles. And the then Air Member for Technology, Air Commodore Hugh Dowding, gave him 5 years to do that in. In fact, Watson Watt and his very small team achieved that in only 7 months.
By the outbreak of the Second World War, and as a direct result of the work done by Robert and his team, a radio defence system was in place along the south and east coasts of Britain. Radar played a crucial part in the defeat of the Luftwaffe during the Battle of Britain, and Brechin basked in the glory of Robert's success. In 1941, Lord Provost Mitchell of Brechin sent a telegram to Robert, saying, "Heartiest congratulations and good wishes on your wonderful contribution to Britain's fighting efficiency. Your native city is proud of the great achievement of its distinguished son." Although Robert modestly referred to his invention as a gadget, in recognition of his contribution to the discovery and development of radar, Robert Watson Watt was knighted in 1942. By the end of the war, it was widely acknowledged that radar had made an incredible difference to the eventual outcome of the Second World War. And in the 1950s, he was made a freeman of the borough of Brechin.
He was also invited back to the high school to presentations, and he did do that. In fact, I know 1 or 2 people who actually met him when they were at school and had prizes from him.
Then, having become increasingly despondent about the lack of further acknowledgement of his achievements, Sir Robert moved to Canada. During a visit to the United States, Sir Robert was reportedly pulled over for driving too fast. "Had I known what you were going to do with it, I would never have invented it," he said to the policeman who was holding a radar gun. In 1966, at the age of 72, Sir Robert returned to Britain, where he married for the 3rd time. Sir Robert and his wife, Dame Catherine, live between London and Pitlochry, making occasional visits to Brechin to visit Sir Robert's friends and relatives in the area. Sir Robert Watson Watt died in Inverness in 1973 and was buried in the churchyard in Pitlochry alongside Dame Catherine. Until recently, there was little to commemorate Brechin's link to one of the 20th century's great men of science, apart from a small plaque on the wall of the house in Union Street where he was born. However, thanks to the recently formed Watson Watt Society, this is about to change.
The Watson Watt Society of Brechin has been established to raise funds to construct 2 forms of memorial in Brechin. Perhaps it is time for Robert Watson Watt to be commemorated in his hometown of Brechin, 70 years after he was elected a Fellow of the Royal Society.
And a permanent monument to Sir Robert Watson Watt will hopefully be unveiled in Brechin in 2009.